这个故事如果你听起来不累，那么你的听力水平在生活中是完全够用的。要持续提升英文，记得点击订阅按钮。我们开始吧。
The winter air in London felt heavy that year. Smoke from coal fires floated over narrow streets. Horses pulled carts through wet stone roads. Inside a small market hall near the river, a crowd had gathered around a wooden table. On that table sat a cage. Inside the cage rested a small bird covered with a thick piece of cloth. People whispered. The cloth stayed in place. No one in the crowd could see the bird yet. That was the point. A man stood behind the table with a small bell in his hand. When the bell rang, the cloth would come off. The bird would be shown to everyone, and the bidding would begin. But until that moment arrived, the rule was simple. Keep it under wraps. Back in the 1700s, traders in England sold many strange things in open markets. Birds, tools, cloth, fruit, and sometimes animals brought from faraway lands. When sellers wanted to build excitement before an auction, they hid the object under a cloth. The cloth was called a wrap. The item stayed hidden until the right moment. Under wraps meant out of sight. That day in the market, the bird inside the cage had come from a ship that crossed a long stretch of ocean. Sailors said it came from a green island filled with tall trees and loud animals. Its feathers were bright blue and yellow, colors few people in London had ever seen. But the crowd could not see any of that yet. The cloth stayed over the cage. A young boy named Thomas pushed closer to the table. He was small enough to slip between adults. His father worked on the docks nearby, and Thomas spent most days running around the river streets watching ships arrive. He heard the sailors talk about the bird. A talking bird, they said. Thomas had to see it. The man behind the table rang the bell once to calm the crowd. Voices dropped. Hands rested on pockets filled with coins. The bird remained hidden. The man smiled in a slow way that made the moment stretch longer. People leaned forward. Someone in the crowd shouted that the bird must be a fake. Another man laughed and said the seller was hiding an ugly chicken. Still the cloth stayed in place. The longer the bird remained unseen, the more curious the crowd became. This was the trick. Merchants learned something simple about people long before modern ads existed. When something stays hidden, the mind works harder. Questions grow larger. Interest grows stronger. The wrap stayed on. Thomas noticed something move under the cloth. The cage shook slightly. A soft sound slipped through the cloth. The boy's eyes widened. That was no chicken. The man lifted his hand. The crowd went quiet. Then suddenly the cloth came off. Bright color burst into the gray air of the market hall. Blue wings. yellow chest, a long curved beak. The bird opened its mouth and shouted a loud, strange word that sounded like laughter. The crowd exploded with noise. Coins came out of pockets. Hands went up. The bidding began at once. Thomas stared in wonder. He had never seen color like that in his life. That moment stayed with him for years. But the cloth mattered just as much as the bird. Because the secret made the moment powerful. Without the wrap, it would only be another bird in a cage. Years passed. The phrase traveled through markets, shops, and busy streets. People began using the words far beyond auctions. Keep it under wraps. If a shop owner planned a new product, workers were told to keep it under wraps. If a family prepared a surprise party, the children were told to keep it under wraps. If a company built something new, the news stayed under wraps until the right day. The cloth was no longer real. But the idea stayed the same. Hide something important until the moment feels right. Even in the old days, secrets had power. Thomas grew older and eventually worked on ships like his father. He sailed across cold water and warm seas. He saw cities larger than London and islands covered with thick jungle. But one small memory from that market never left him. The sound of the cloth lifting. The sudden burst of color. The crowd gasping at the same time. A hidden thing can change the feeling of a whole room. People still live by that rule now. Big companies hide new phones before they show them to the world. Filmmakers hide stories until the movie opens. Writers hide the ending of a book. Everyone knows the reason. A secret builds energy. But there is another side to the phrase too. Sometimes people keep things under wraps not for surprise, but for fear. A worry kept quiet. A mistake hidden from friends. A plan kept silent because someone is not ready to speak yet. Life has many moments like that. Words waiting to be said. Truths waiting for the right time. Just like that bird in the cage long ago, some things stay covered until the cloth finally lifts. And when that moment comes, the room changes. Think about your own life. Maybe you are holding an idea that no one else knows yet. Maybe you are building a dream quietly. Maybe you are working towards something while others see nothing on the surface. That does not mean nothing is happening. It only means the story is still under wraps. And when the time comes to lift the cloth, people may see something brighter than they expected.
能以非母语者的身份专注学习到现在，这本身就是很棒的进步。真诚感谢你的观看。如果你觉得本期内容实用，点赞或留言让我知道你的想法，这对我持续创作非常重要。我们下期见。